We are expanding. We're here. We're proud. We're here to talk about Tar today.
Oh, that shit started.
It started.
You gotta cut out that beginning.
That was post conversation.
Post conversation.
Post combo. I didn't want to ruin a chance of having a good sound.
A good sound.
Because I hope. I haven't gone in and listened yet, but I think our sound is pretty good. So we're here to talk about one of the prestigious Oscar nominated, multi-Oscar nominated, right? 6 nominations for Tar.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think so. All right, listen. Don't knock me on this. I don't think it deserves 6 nominations.
No, but I need to quickly pause and talk about something irrelevant.
Oh, okay.
Barney is getting a reboot in film and TV with a brand new look.
The dinosaur?
The dinosaur.
Oh.
And this brand new look looks terrifying.
Oh, this is oh my goodness.
Yes, why the eyes? Why the eyes?
But here's the thing, right? So part of the charm, this is totally derailing.
Yeah.
But part of the charm of Barney, though, I feel, is the fact that it's some dude in a suit.
Yeah.
And I feel like just having a CG.
I don't think it's CG.
It looks CG.
It looks bad. Let's put it that way. It looks bad.
Fine. Having an animated Barney, I just feel like it defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're here to talk about Tar.
I was eager to watch this movie.
Eager, go on.
I thought the premise was interesting. I thought Cate Blanchett would be interesting, which she was.
Cate Blanchett is always great.
Yep.
I feel like no matter what movie she's in, she always comes to play, and
she came to play here.
She came to play here. She does a great job. I think as far as the performances go, I don't think there's a lot of weak performances.
No.
I think the ones that come across as less interesting are the ones that are in just really, really boring long scenes.
Yeah.
Which there are unfortunately a lot, especially towards the beginning.
Yes.
The movie definitely does pick up significantly in the second half. I think once you hit that first, and I remember specifically, I was like, oh, like once it hit that first hour mark, I think from there on out, the movie was like 10 times more interesting.
Yeah. It's slow. I don't think it's earned its 2.5 hour.
It's so long. I mean, the fact that you have like a 10-hour interview section at the beginning of the movie
lets you know.
It's just like, man, this is overdrawn.
And it does make you wonder if the film was intentionally pretentious. And I know, I know I could sound just like very uncultured saying that, but like, man, they use some big old words.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing. So they do use some big words.
Yeah, some $10 words.
But I also think like, and I wonder how much of a leg up we have as people who come from like music.
Right.
Right, because both you and I were in band throughout middle school, high school.
Correct.
I went into it through college.
Correct. I did not.
You did not. But like they use a lot of the vocab, right?
And I could pick it up.
Scherzo and pianissimo and glissandos and blah blah blah. But
sforzando.
It's
a good one.
But my goodness, this movie is really pretentious.
Yeah,
it really is, and that's not saying I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it just is.
I think there's a good case that it's trying to use its pretentiousness as part of a critique that's levied against the protagonist.
Yes,
but
for sure, 100%, especially with the ending.
Boy, is there a lot of it.
There's a lot, and this, and I remember watching this movie. And one of my thoughts was, is she overcooking it? Not Cate Blanchett as the actress playing Tar, but Lydia. Is she overcooking things to make herself feel more important?
As in overcooking things, as in
like touting herself more, like kind of just coming across as more important than she actually is.
Well, she is renowned
Yes.
And it makes you wonder like how big or small that like community is that really gives a shit about classical music to this extent. I mean, when they care, they care. Like, don't get me wrong.
But does that do more to inflate the ego if you are a big fish in a very niche pond?
It's a good question. I
I
don't know.
feel like it's gotta.
But here's what I will say. Here's what I will say. I guess there were a lot of people, and this is to the film's credit. The film did kind of such a good job of establishing her backstory
Mhm.
that there were a lot of people who thought that this was based on a real
Oh
person.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy, and that also has to do with like the marketing,
Yeah.
um, the way like the way like the blurbs are written about the movie. It feels like you are talking about a real person,
Yeah.
and also it helps that this is a story that does not at all seem far from reality.
No.
This could happen. I would be surprised if this has not happened and we just have not heard about something like this before.
Well, the ending for me is a wee bit far from reality, but we'll get there.
Oh, I don't think so.
We'll get there when we get there.
I think the ending is 100%
Including,
something that
including the attack on Mark Strong in the.
kinda,
All
yeah,
right. All right.
kinda.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe not to that. I mean, I would be more exaggerated, right?
Yeah.
But still within the realm of possibility. Um, but so you talked about Mark Strong. The cast on this, I feel like a lot of relative unknowns. Besides Cate
Yes.
Blanchett, besides Mark Strong, pretty much everybody else here in this is like I don't want to say nobodies.
Grandmeister Pycelle is in this movie.
Is he the like her
Oh,
mentor?
yes.
Okay,
Not the one who she fires.
not the one she fires. That's
Yeah.
Sebastian.
Yeah.
Um, Alcin Alair, something like that. I think is his name in this.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's good. But like Noemi Merlant, who plays Francesca, the girl who plays Sharon, chick who plays Olga. I think they kind of had to be more unknown because they are also performing,
Right.
and that is
That takes its
it
own
takes its
set
own
of
thing,
skills.
right?
Right.
And to Kate Blanchett's credit again, she committed a lot. She learned piano. She learned how to conduct.
Mm-hmm.
She did all the conducting herself.
Did she learn accordion?
I'm,
From from
for
from
the
from
for
Daniel
the for the one
from Daniel
accordion scene,
Radcliffe? That was my favorite
that was
scene.
my favorite scene.
Yeah.
100%.
That to me is the most Oscar worthy scene actually in
Yeah,
this film.
if she gets her Oscar, I think it's for that. Just here,
Apartment for
apartment for sale. Very good scene. 100%. Earn her accolades for that.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, all the other people they have 4 or 5 IMDb credits, and
Alec
it's
Baldwin
for
voice.
oh,
Alec
Alec
Baldwin's
Baldwin's voice. Which, by the way, was that something he recorded for this, or was that something that they just took from like another thing that they had?
I don't know, but it was the subtitles who let me know that it was his voice.
Yes,
And then I'm like, oh, cool. Alec Baldwin's going to be in this movie.
and he was not. It's just his
He was
voice.
in this movie.
But so the movie, without getting into deep spoilers, when I was first watching it, I didn't think we would have a lot to talk about.
Mm.
But then as the movie went on, I was like, oh, there's themes here, whether or not they're very fleshed out or very well handled.
Themes.
There's definitely stuff to talk about, right? Um, whether it's the world of music, which she does point out is very heavily male dominated, right?
Primarily male.
I can't remember any sort of thing that we played throughout my musical education that was by a woman.
I don't remember. I mean, I don't remember because I don't. There's variations on a Korean folk song by a woman.
I have no idea.
Let me look it up.
Um,
But most of it sounds male.
most of it is male centric.
Yeah, it's a woman.
It's a woman.
That song's by white people.
It's by white people.
Yeah, variations on a Korean folk song.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, again, and they do touch on those problematic themes, right?
Right.
A little bit. But it's tells the story of Lydia Tarr, who is very well renowned composer
Hmm.
and conductor, right? Because she composes her own stuff too, and she conducts,
Correct.
right? But she's specifically not in like an American orchestra. She
The
is
Berlin
the
Symphony Orchestra.
Berlin, yep, the Berlin Philharmonic.
But she has worked with the CSO.
Yes,
She has worked,
but I think she mentions that she has been there as a guest,
yes, as a
right?
guest conductor.
And that also becomes a point later where she talks about
Yeah.
uh, some woman who has she
That's
has
relegated to guest conductor status.
yes,
Yes.
and how that kind of sucks and all that stuff.
She has EGOT status.
She does.
Yeah.
Yep, she's got everything. Again, these little things that kind of just make her feel like
She's real.
she's real, right? And that
And very quickly, the name Tar is just so. It sounds so fake that you're like, oh, this could be like a weird real
yes,
person
a weird
with a
real person.
rando ass name. Yeah.
Yes.
Continue.
And yeah. Any thoughts that you have on this movie upon your watch without necessarily going into like deep spoilers?
Um, for me, this movie was sold to me as being like heavily about cancel culture. And I'll say that that's probably the most predominant theme, but I think I was expecting more heavy handedness with that theme. Like it's
Okay.
there, it's present, but I feel like there's a lot of themes where like that doesn't just totally like dominate the whole dominate the whole movie.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to say without even spoiling stuff that the movie does deal with um controversies, right? Like the
Controversy. Yes.
controversies that these people in power tend to get themselves into.
Yeah.
Things like sexual misconduct, the Me Too stuff.
Yeah.
You mentioned cancel culture. So yeah, Lydia finds herself in the center of that. I think I don't think anyone does a bad job. Kate Blanchett brings it.
She brings it.
I don't think there's anything that stands. Obviously, the music's going to be good
Yes.
because it has to be good,
Yes.
right? If you're making a movie about a music,
And EGOT winning.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can't have shit music. So the music's great. I don't think there's anything in the cinematography that really stands out to me.
I like the shots of her conducting.
Yes,
Yeah.
some of the way they are shot is
Yeah.
fine, but besides that, I don't think there's anything that I'm like nominate this shit for cinematography, which I don't think it did.
I like that the dream sequences were very obviously
Yes,
dreams.
yeah, that is good.
Yeah.
You weren't sitting there
It
going,
wasn't Knock at the Cabin where I was like, could this be happening or could this not be happening? It was like, oh, this is a dream.
"This
Like,
is."
yeah.
So yeah, so this movie was nominated for best performance by a leading actress,
Fair.
best motion picture. I don't think so.
I will also say though, I think of what I've seen this year. I haven't seen Fablemans yet.
I
But
have zero interest in the
but of
Fablemans,
what I've
but
seen this year, none of the best picture performances to me were like
hmm
right to the point where even everything everywhere all at once. To the point where I'm like, yes, I think this fits in with the rest of its peers.
I don't think it stands out as something weird. I do agree that I think it fits. Honestly, the movie that stands out the most as like something weird is probably Top Gun.
Yes. That one got a best picture now.
Yeah, best picture nomination.
So
If Top Gun wins, I'm gonna be a very happy boy,
that's a great day for the working class. Top Gun
dude.
wins.
I,
Military propaganda has saved us again.
but it's so fucking much fun.
But of like the serious contenders,
hmm
this, The Whale, Everything Everywhere. I think I gave them all somewhere in like the
The
three.
Whale did not get nominated for best picture.
It did not.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I take that back. So yeah, well, I give all those movies like 3 stars ish, and I would say they all are comparable in
Yeah.
quality.
Yeah, I'm looking at the nominees for Best Picture, and I'm like, this movie feels like it's a movie that was made to be
For sure.
a Best Picture nominee for sure.
Yeah.
So I get the nomination. I still don't agree necessarily with cinematography.
Yeah.
I can see editing. Editing is important for this type of movie. Directing, I can see that. I can see the directing one and the screenplay. The screenplay for sure.
Right.
I can see that being a good nomination for it. But besides that, I think we need to get into some of the deets of this movie. Recommendation?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, by this point, like,
it's not for everybody.
not that it's not for everybody, but by this point, I was looking at review. I always watch reviews after I see a movie for the first time,
Mhm.
and like they're from like fucking 3 months ago. So at this, yeah, like recommendation, but at this point, like,
Yeah.
if you haven't seen it,
Well, because like it got a weirdly like limited release,
yeah,
and then it was nowhere,
yeah,
and then it got announced for nominations, and it was out for 4 days at like a weird time of the day, so we couldn't
we
make
couldn't
it.
go see it.
So
Yeah.
that, and I do think that maybe my enjoyment for this movie is a little bit stunted by the fact that I wasn't in the theater seeing it.
I couldn't
'Cause-
watch it in one sitting. I had to leave.
Oh, I watched that
Yeah.
shit in one sitting, and I had distractions ahoy.
Yeah.
Like I had my phone, I had my screen, and over.
You watched that shit on Super Bowl night.
I watched that shit on Super Bowl night.
Wow.
I think the game may have been done within the first 45 minutes of this movie
Okay.
because I got home at like 8.
Yeah, that timing sounds about right.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into the nitty gritty for Tar. Um, that first intro scene is fucking painful for me. The interview.
So painful that it has to be intentional.
Oh, I think so.
And yet you also then do wonder how much you also then wonder who's the target audience of this film.
Okay.
Is it the classical music crowd? Or is it the masses?
Not the masses, but I also don't think the classical music crowd.
Because our pedophile band director, I'm sure, would love that interview.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
But this he is Tar.
He is Tar.
He is Tar.
He is Tar. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's him. Maybe not like the composer part.
Not as well dressed.
Not as well
Yeah.
dressed.
Although he could pull off a tux. He could pull off a tux.
He could pull off a tux.
Yeah.
But he's the Tar, the conductor part of Tar.
Yep.
Right?
He was an enthusiastic,
Music, well-renowned.
yeah.
People liked him.
Yeah.
You talk to anybody, they go, "Oh yes, I know Orland."
Yeah. And
But
he was a groomer.
and he was a groomer.
Right.
So I had a question about this.
Like Ron DeSantis.
Like Ron DeSantis,
Right.
Ron DeSanctimonious.
Yes.
So not to get too far ahead, eventually she does get accused of grooming.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about the definition of grooming. Does grooming have to involve a minor? Or is it just a power imbalance?
Power imbalance.
Okay.
And I mean, I think the textbook example of this is Orange is the New Black, is prisoner and prison guard. Like is
Okay.
that's the clearest cut case I can give you, where like legally it is explicitly not always a minor.
Okay.
And then you can stretch other definitions
Okay.
in there.
Okay. So that's what I was wondering, and I was like, I know usually in 2023 we hear the definition of grooming associated with children.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you look at the definition, it's the practice by cleaning whatever
Right.
an animal, or the practice of keeping neat and tidy. Number 2 is the practice of preparing or training someone for a particular purpose or activity.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay,
And that definition itself isn't necessarily malicious.
not necessarily
Yeah.
malicious, but is
Yeah.
usually
Right. I'm grooming you for leadership.
the one that is seen as criminal. Number 3, the action of attempting to form a relationship with a child or young person with the intention of sexually assaulting them or introducing them to commit an illegal act such as selling drugs or joining a terrorist organization.
Yeah.
But that one includes child or young person. So I don't know. I think it's like a mix of the two.
Well, young person is definitionally
Just
vague.
younger than you? I don't know,
Yeah.
but I also assume that it has to do with power
Right.
imbalance, right? Um, but yeah, so she gets into this legal trouble. Then there's the implication that she was sexually assaulting the younger student, right?
Francesca
Not Francesca. Francesca is
is her director.
her new one,
Yes.
right? The girl that she was Krista,
Yeah.
the girl who sends her the book at the beginning,
Right.
who ends up unaliving herself,
Correct.
right? And I kind of wish they would have shown a little bit more
That
of
relationship.
that relationship, because at this point it's more of like it's kind of implied but kind of not.
And I think this is where I have my biggest critique with this film.
Hmm.
It's not to the point of messy, but I do feel like it is to the point of there's a lot going on.
Sure.
You have the you have the student who she gets into the cancel culture debate with in class,
Yeah, Max, right?
right? Where that happens, and then that doesn't come up again until you have the edited film. But even still, that's just a recreation of that scene.
Hmm.
You have Krista, you have Francesca, you have the daughter, you have Sharon, you have Olga,
Hmm.
you have Mark Strong, who's like not necessarily being like assaulted by her, but that's just like another character dynamic that's like in and out. You got her other assistant who she has pack up and GTFO.
Sebastian, right?
Yeah.
The guy.
There's a lot going on around her.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a lot where she fucks up,
Yeah.
right? A lot of relationships and a lot of um like just bad decisions on her behalf.
Yeah.
So we know from so at first it's kind of implied that something's going on, right? She gets that book, the challenge, which I guess has some thematic um correlations. I guess it's a lesbian relationship in the book
Mm.
where one of them is saying like basically like if you leave me, I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
Yeah.
So that's where that correlates. I was unaware of that. I read that in one of the reviews. So I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
I forget if we said, because I'm assuming we're releasing Knock at the Cabin before this.
Yes.
I forget if we explicitly said if you only need to see Knock at the Cabin once, or if we made any comment on rewatching. Whereas that film, I'm like, all right, I've seen it once. I feel like I don't need to rewatch it again. I feel like this film, not that I'm dying to rewatch it again, but I feel like you need to rewatch this film.
I think on the rewatch you pick up on certain
Yeah.
things. I don't think it's necessary to rewatch.
Well, with the Google in hands to look up, because like I'm sure all these titles of songs and composers and shit are like
Probably means something.
significant.
Yeah. And but here's the thing, I'm not gonna look up what those things mean. So going back and
Yeah, fair
rewatching
enough.
that, I feel like it's kind of
Yeah.
unnecessary. And also, it's a 2 hour and like 30 minute, like
A lot.
it's a lot.
A lot.
And it's a lot of like not fun things. So I'm not dying to go back and rewatch this. Um, sorry, where was I? The book, right? So then that's kind of like the first indication that there's something with this girl.
Mhm.
But then later you are shown her going through her emails and like scrubbing her like her correspondence to anyone related to this girl.
Yeah.
And it's, I did pause through some of the texts, which is kind of the nice thing about watching a movie on your computer and not on
Yeah.
on the screen, where you
You
can
can
just be
pause
like,
and read.
what does that say?
Yeah.
And she's basically like shit talking her, saying like she's crazy,
Yes.
she's
Yeah.
unstable,
Yeah.
she's
She
just not.
cannot recommend her.
You cannot recommend her, and it's like she blacklists
Yeah.
Krista, which then does put Chris in the predicament of like, well, not only is this relationship not good, now the thing that you want to do, which is, I'm assuming, perform, right?
Right.
Is to join.
Well, she's a conductor.
Oh,
Krista's
sure.
a conductor, yeah.
So, be a conductor.
Right.
Then that's out the window. So that you're left with nothing.
Yeah.
So it makes sense why then that would draw her to suicide.
Yeah.
But then you have this, which we kind of discussed a little bit briefly before we started recording today, that Krista is not just a metaphorical ghost, but also a literal ghost
Mm.
in Tar's life, right? You see her in Lydia's apartment a couple times. Two that I saw for sure. I don't know if there's more,
Right.
but very Haunting of Hill House style, where
Yeah,
you
you
know,
needed to point that out to me, and then I went back and I did the Google and I saw stills.
yes, there's one where she's in a brightly lit room. In the back, she's like half of her,
Yeah.
and then there's also where she wakes up either from a nightmare or Petra wakes her up, and she gets out of bed and she is like in the back corner
Mm.
of the dark room. It's just like a very like a silhouette, but there's someone there,
Mhm.
and it's it's a redhead, so
Gotta be
it's got to be
Yeah.
Krista. Um, and there's also, I don't know if you caught this, and it freaked me out when I saw this. And I even made a point in my notes where the little girl is being weird. She's like,
Petra?
"Hey, Petra,
Yeah.
yeah." She's like, "I'm having a bad dream or whatever. Can you hold my foot?" Which weird, but whatever. At one point, the little girl is like looking at Lydia, and then she like looks off to the side.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm like, she sees something behind her.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is,
Huh.
and it gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
But so that's what Lydia is dealing with. There's doing a new show. I can't remember what it's called.
I can't remember either.
I cannot remember, but she is putting on this performance, and that's basically what the interview is.
Right.
She's promoting the book. She's promoting this book.
The book, the show.
The book and the show, yeah, and so that's what they're trying to figure out. They need a new cellist, so that's where our girl Olga is introduced.
Yeah.
Or you have any thoughts on Olga? She just seems kind of
So it was interesting. So she's a feminist.
yes,
She is not she's not too down with like, not that she's like hostile to them, but like she's kind of like disregards all like the political pleasantries like you have to kind of make in this industry. Like I think
she's kind of blunt.
I think she's a vegetarian, and then she goes ahead and like orders like the
Just
veal.
eats meat, yeah.
Yeah, and while talks the cucumber salad at that one like hoity-toity restaurant,
Yeah,
she like screams and she like screamed the next not ecstasy. That's weird. She like lets out a very happy like scream
when she gets
she gets
her, she's not shy about the fact that she got the part
exactly.
right.
And the film, to its credit, it never makes her like pay for that.
Nor do I think it should.
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. But like it never like she never has to go through the arc where she's like, oh, like you don't know how we do it around here. Toots like
Yeah.
she never suffers through that. There's also the scene where they go traveling together.
When they go to New York for the book
and
reading,
you're like, oh shit, Tar's gonna like
try to bang
something.
Yeah.
And
This girl shuts her down.
she shuts her down. And like there are hints where before, like the way they kind of frame the shot, it kind of makes it seem like maybe she's reciprocally interested.
Yeah, because like when they're practicing together for the solo.
Yeah.
Jesus. Always need a friend. All right, we're back in. So you were saying about Olga.
Olga. The other thing that I think the film does unexpectedly is like, yes, Tar pulls some strings to pick a cello solo song to accompany the other song. Yes,
but she specifically picks the one that Olga performed.
She does. But like she earns it like
fair and square.
She does earn it fair and square.
Not the original audition.
Yeah.
Right. So the original audition, when Olga is first introduced, Tara's at the bathroom.
Right.
And then she sees her and she like looks under the stall and looks at her boots.
Yeah. And she sees who it is.
And she does change her score.
Right.
For the original audition, right? As she's leaving, she goes, "Oh, that's the girl with the boots."
Yeah.
Changes my score. I'm assuming more favorable.
Right.
So, but the second audition, they don't show anything in that regard, right?
Correct.
So you are led to assume that she earned it,
despite some chicanery. She does earn her spot.
And also, like this might just be me, maybe kind of hearing things,
Hmm.
but it sounded to me like she actually did earn it.
Yeah, the other one was Garbo, and
It
that's
did not sound good.
like not at all. Like to the point where like yes, like she had played that song before, but if you're a world renowned like if you're a world renowned cellist to be playing in the Berlin Philharmonic,
You should know how to
like its tone was off. Like people were falling asleep.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was also not like it wasn't like, oh, somebody liked it and somebody didn't.
No, it was
It
universal.
was unanimous, right?
Yep.
They say, oh, well, it's unanimous, and she gets her part. Um, but at the same time, I'm like, man, dude, lady, like, don't be so fucking obvious.
Correct. And it's obvious to Sharon, right? That's the wife's name,
Yeah.
Sharon or Shannon. Yeah, that something is afoot.
So I was wondering about that. So we know that Lydia she's with Sharon,
Yes.
but then she's also with Francesca.
So Sharon's her wife.
Sharon's her wife.
Right.
But it seems like Sharon is aware that she's also kind of doing shit with Francesca on the side.
Well, and here's the thing: the Sharon, I forget what Sharon exactly says, but when the story comes out, Sharon is mad at her, but she makes it seem like I wouldn't. She says something to the extent it's like it's not exactly what you did; it's how you like handled it.
Yes.
It's almost very Frank. It's almost very Frank Underwood. And
Yeah.
like, yeah,
She knows she kind of like sleeps around.
Yeah.
I think she's mad that she didn't come to her for help.
yes,
She's upset that she didn't rely on her as her actual spouse.
yeah.
That's what she's upset about. Which I mean,
Which does make you wonder if I figure the film tells us their backstory, but like it does make you wonder if their relationship was well, I guess it was because Sharon is the one who like gets her into the Berlin scene and like
yes.
teaches her how to navigate. So I guess the relationship was ethical,
I think so. I
Yeah.
think, and also like they're closer in age.
right?
Um, like obviously,
But still, she's first violin. Like, and that opening interview does tell us that like the first violinist was the like that's where the power in the orchestra was.
yeah,
So I'm like,
maybe
not so much abusing Sharon, but that's like kind of
maybe it's like a tit for tat.
tit for tat. But it's kind of like it's amazing to me that her orchestra has as much respect for her as they do, because it's like, damn, like that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I can see
yeah,
that. Unless it's one of those things where like she happened to be the first violinist at this thing, and then Lydia
got the role.
got the role
Yeah.
as the maestro,
Which
right?
could be, yeah.
You know, I don't know. But one of the things, so you were mentioning earlier that you were like, oh yeah, Olga's like a feminist who doesn't do the pleasantries and blah blah. And I was
Right.
like, oh, I just took that as this bitch is Russian.
Well, that yes, Russian, but they do make a point about her feminism. Like she
They-
does finish visit someone's grave on International Women's Day.
yes, I remember catching that. But then soon after this is where we do hear that Krista straight up kills herself, and Lydia tells Francesca,
Right.
like, I'm deleting all my shit. You should delete all your shit. Which he doesn't.
Nope.
Right. And now that is kind of having an impact on Lydia.
Yeah.
She starts like hearing shit. Which I thought was interesting because I made note of that. There's a scene where Lydia is running in the park, but then she starts hearing screams.
Yeah.
Which, funny enough, so I remember hearing the screams, and I was like, "This seems weirdly familiar." Like the sound of the screams, and the IMDb trivia points it out, and the guy from like Heavy Spoilers points it out that it's the exact same scream from Blair Witch.
Oh, really?
And the only reason why I felt that was familiar was because Katie and I watched that movie this year,
Interesting.
and I was like,
The new Blair Witch or
the
old?
original like
Oh,
99 Blair Witch.
very interesting.
It's like the same screams from like the very climax of the movie.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's so it's a choice for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what the choice is, but she's hearing this, and this is before she knows that Krista committed suicide,
Right.
right? So I don't know if this is just like her conscience is starting to weigh on her from the very
Yeah.
beginning, especially after she got, because this is after she gets the book, if I'm not mistaken. So all of that is weird. Um, I don't know.
The whole sequence of giving Olga back her teddy bear is also.
Yeah.
Is it?
What is that a hallucination with the dog?
So the injury comes from her tripping, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which holy shit.
What a
When I saw that she tripped, I was like, that's funny. Like that sucks.
But when I saw how much she busted her face,
I was like, holy shit, all that from a trip?
yeah.
God damn.
I don't know where people be tripping, but like,
Holy dude, she must have like fallen into like a gravel pit
yeah,
because that her whole face is like
she looked like she was
she
attacked.
looked like she was attacked. And that's the story she goes with.
Right.
Not to her doctor. To her
No.
doctor, she does say like I fell,
Yeah.
basically. But the story that she's running with for like her coworkers is she was attacked.
Right.
I don't know if she says like I was pushed or if she was like I got attacked, like physically punched in the face.
Yeah.
But she looks like she got punched in the face.
Yeah.
And this is after, Olga is going over to her house to practice. And then I don't even know why in that scene Olga comes over. She's like, sorry, I'm late. I got caught in the rain. Do you have a towel? And this is right after the scene where the weirdo neighbor
Right.
comes out and tells her like, hey, I need
your help.
I need your help.
So Tara's naked, right? Like 'cause she showered, right?
She's wearing like a nightshirt.
She's wearing a nightshirt, but we see her naked because she showers after helping to clean a neighbor's mom.
You're using the word shower very liberally. She goes to the sink and like starts,
Hey man,
scrubbing herself.
Yeah.
But then she gets another knock at the door, and then she puts on a robe,
Yeah.
and that's Olga.
Right.
Which right there, it's already a very precarious situation answering the door for your pupil.
Yeah.
Essentially naked.
And in between that and like the teddy bear and leaving it in the.
Yes, that's where I agree with you.
You do think that the movie is going to go down that road.
Yes,
and
where it does not. Which yeah, you're right. It is very weird. And I do remember thinking here, like, is Olga playing her?
I had wondered at many points if Olga knew, because she's mysterious enough where you're like, does this girl know stuff?
Mm-hmm. And I was wondering with, so Olga, she drops Olga off. She forgets her teddy bear, which,
Right.
okay. And then Lydia chases after her, which is where she gets into the weird,
meth den.
like, yeah, it like is like graffiti everywhere. Lydia is not Lydia. Olga is nowhere to be found.
She's in a flooded hallway.
And she goes down the stairs, and that's where she sees the random weird dog.
Yeah, which you don't even get a clear.
No, but it's a massive looking dog.
Yeah,
which is when she gets scared and she runs off, and she's screaming for Olga, and Olga was not anywhere, and not far off where I would.
And the time from which Olga leaves, the time from which she goes to return the bear, is not framed as a long period of time.
So that's why I thought like maybe Olga is in cahoots with. Maybe she knew Krista, and maybe Olga was gonna get like some sort of revenge or something. That's what I was going with.
I was at that point, but then by the end of the film, I wasn't.
Yes, for sure. And that's when they take the trip to New York.
Yeah.
Right, because there's a thing in the New York Post where they have the accusations from Krista that she did the sexual assaults on me, blacklisted me, and then also we get the video.
Oh yeah,
from the class,
the edited video,
right? The edited, which by the way, holy shit! If you buy that video, like you can tell it's chopped to shit.
So that was interesting because I haven't read a lot of the details on a lot of like cancel culture cases.
Okay.
But I was like, are there any that involve like clearly like very, very
Edited.
edited videos?
Not a lot.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean that's not where my complaint with the cancel culture thing is
Yeah.
necessarily, because she even does point out, she does call the New York Post like
And then your post is a shit.
just a shit fucking
bag. Yeah.
tabloid, right? Which she's not wrong. She's 100% right.
Yep.
She does say anyone who thinks this video
It's
is
legit.
legit is fucking stupid. You can tell that the framing is off. This is not one constant conversation. This is chopped up. I'm not saying she wasn't a bitch during that.
She was a bitch.
She was
Max was
100% a
right
bitch.
to call. Did he call her a bitch?
Yeah, he goes, "You're a fucking
Or
bitch,"
they call her a
and
bitch. Yeah, but
and
Max
she basically calls him a pussy after
Max
that.
was annoying. She was a bitch.
Yes.
Like, everyone
Everyone here sucks,
Yeah.
right? That's the Reddit. Everyone here's an asshole
Yeah,
kind of thing,
yeah.
right? But that's so then she goes to New York because she has the deposition
Right.
because of the whole thing with Krista. By the way, she gets a private plane for this.
Yeah.
She's probably making money, and I'm like, I can't imagine being the conductor of like the Philharmonic to be that lucrative. But.
So this is where, as an aside, people always like to tout that it's the athletes and the sports culture people who get too much money, and these fine arts people don't get enough money. As someone who, in the past few months, got to sit with a stadium announcer for many professional sports teams, and I heard what that man makes, and like how much, and like what kind of lifestyle he has to live, I will say we are throwing too much money at the fine arts and not enough money to professional sports where it belongs.
Well, maybe not professional sports, but like
That,
the announcers, right? Throw more money to those people.
I'm being half facetious, but I remember when, because of my pedophile band teacher,
You're a pedophile band teacher.
our pedophile band teacher.
Yes.
Excuse me. I remember when Muti, I don't even remember his fucking first name, was announced as the Chicago Symphony Orchestra's like new conductor. Right?
Sure.
And that's a big name, I guess.
Is it?
Yeah, in that world. And like even if you'd walk around downtown, even still you'll see like his picture and it'll say like Muti, like in the like hanging from the banners that are from the lights. And like yeah, like good for them. Like that's amazing. But I'm like, I don't know how much money this man
Deserves.
and actually makes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's odd, right?
Right.
Because like, so like, again, I can't picture someone making as much money to have a private plane. I don't know if somebody flew her out.
I mean, endowments are endowments, like, but it's you know, I will trust this film because I feel like they did enough of their research where they could like they could accurately spin the lifestyle of like some of these people.
Yeah.
But
Oh, before this happens, so she fires Sebastian.
yeah,
Right. And he's like, "Oh, you're going to put Francesca on this." And she's like, "No, how dare sir,
yeah,
you accuse me of this."
yeah.
And so then she decides not to
put
Francesca on there.
Right.
And so Francesca quits,
And goes
essentially
ham.
ghosts her.
Yep.
And sends the receipts to the lawyers.
And she calls her a rat.
She calls her a rat.
I was like, I was wondering if this movie strictly chose the name for this character
to be Tar
for that purpose, which I don't think so.
I don't think so either. That's when she picks up the paper, right? When she goes to the apartment and it says rat on rat.
Rat on rat. Yeah.
So then when she's in New York, that's when she finds out that Francesca basically sent the lawyers like all the correspondence on her end at least. Right. And that Krista was also contacting Francesca. And then this results in the video being leaked of of Olga with Lydia. That's where she's trying to get some banging.
Mm-hmm.
But then Olga says, "Nah, I'm jet lagged. I'm gonna go to sleep."
Correct.
And then she's all dolled up
for a night on the town.
Yeah. And that kind of does fuck with Lydia a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
right? It's a big hit to the ego.
Yeah.
This is not a woman used to being said no
No,
to,
too. Yeah.
especially from people in her group, right?
Uh,
Um, but then this results in Sharon leaving her,
Correct.
which I do think was kind of a sad scene of her picking up her daughter and
Sharon's like, please don't do this.
Sharon's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Lydia's the one telling Sharon not to do this.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Saying like, please don't take her away. Like,
Yeah.
because she does care for the girl. She is writing her.
It's her only non-transactional relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
And but I do think it's weird, right? Because like Petra calls Lydia.
Yeah.
She doesn't call her mom. She doesn't call her dad.
Right.
Um,
Lydia calls herself her dad.
yes.
Yeah.
Which it's funny because she does dress like a man.
Yeah.
Which I guess does make sense, right? You're in a very male
dominated profession.
You could assume that similar style. But then that does end up with Lydia losing her job because of everything happening. And she goes fucking nuts.
She goes nuts, and boy, oh boy, the last few minutes of this, I had to leave right after the scene where she like tackles Mark Strong.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, 10 minutes left. Like I really had to go. I really had to be somewhere, and I got to the place where I had to be like right on time. So like timed it out well.
Yeah.
But then I was like, all right, there's just some quick, there'll be some quick cleanup to this movie. And
Sure.
nope, we were globetrotting.
Yeah, no, holy shit.
Yeah.
So I honestly I had not thought that what's his name? Elliot? Yeah, Elliot.
Mark Strong. Yeah.
Mark Strong, that he had replaced her as the conductor.
Yeah.
So when she's like showing up to the thing, she's like, "Oh, she's gonna fuck this homie up,"
Right.
and I'm like, "No, Mark Strong, no, not you." But dude, she beats the shit out of him. He's all bloody.
Yeah.
They take her away, and so this is where like the cancel culture section comes in, right?
Mm.
She essentially leaves and
Mhm.
she goes to the Philippines to essentially start over.
Yep.
And I
She
think
gets a job.
She gets a job. I think the commentary in this movie is not that cancel culture is a thing. I think it's the opposite. It's that cancel culture
Correct.
really is not a thing.
Correct.
Right? Because I mean,
She gets a job. She gets
a job.
massages.
She gets massages.
She gets to pick. She gets to pick women as numbers.
Is it implied that she doesn't go through with it?
I thought so.
Right.
I thought so.
And I think this is also part of her. I don't want to say. I don't want to give her too much credit. Yeah, right. She vomits. I don't want to give her too much credit and say that she grows.
Yeah.
But she kind of does, right? She's almost kind of sick at the idea of you are able to pick whoever you want.
Right.
It's somebody did comment that apparently she is like in the exact same sitting placement as the new girl, Olga. So that makes it hit harder for her. And I'm taking it she doesn't go through with it. But then she gets her job conducting for essentially a Monster Hunter World like orchestra where they're playing the music from the video game.
Yeah, what's happening with the audience in that?
They're at a Comic-Con.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's she fell so low that she is essentially performing for a group of nerds at a Comic-Con where she is playing the music from this video game Monster Hunter.
Still living a life.
Still living a life, right? Oh, and we also learned that she is not Lydia Tarr.
I do not remember this.
She goes back home to Staten Island.
You meet her brother.
And he calls her Linda.
Oh, but do we know if the last name is still?
It's still Tarr. I think in some of the either letter something, it's Tarr.
Gotcha.
So she changed her name to Lydia to be more
proper,
and then changed the last name to have the fancy accent and everything.
Yeah.
Right. So everything about her has been like a fake it till you make it mentality, right?
Correct.
She, I don't know if she like banged her way to the top.
Yeah.
But she definitely like got some favors, and then she pulled favors, and
then she called in favors.
she called in favors, right?
Yeah.
So you know, it's I still think it shows. You know, we want to say the cancel. Well, we don't want to say this, right? But people shout to the skies that cancel culture is gone rampant.
Right.
No, these people like lay low, and
For not even that long.
not even that long. Louis C.K. is fucking. Didn't he win like a Grammy recently?
He sold out some big old theater.
Madison Square Garden. I want to say.
I want to say that people aren't even mad at Will Smith anymore. Yeah. Yeah. So yes, I agree with that thematic aspect.
Yeah.
That, like the true like the when it comes to the individual who is in power, who cancel culture so like supposedly takes down, like that person often doesn't really like get off with punishment. Like they're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the people around them that end up getting
fucked,
right? Francesca ends up not getting the job after she did what I'm assuming are sexual favors for her.
Correct.
Chris ends up dead.
Yeah.
The even Petra, right? She ends up without a parent.
Right.
So and she at the end of the day, she still has a job. She's she may not be making as much money as she was with the Philharmonic, but
she's living comfortably.
But she's living comfortably. She's
Yeah.
got a nice place.
People got her flowers.
People get her flowers. And I have paid big money to go see an orchestra play music from a video game.
Yeah.
In 2020.
Well, I mean, a lot of these Western like implants to like, non-American, non-American places, and they're gonna get paid.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna get paid a comfortable sum. So she's fine.
One of the things though about this movie, so now that we're winding down, one of the things that did strike me about this movie is how weirdly funny it can be at some points.
The accordion scene.
The accordion scene is a big one.
Yeah.
I love the way that scene is set up, where they go, "Oh, we heard you rehearsing. We're trying to sell this.
Yeah.
We want to know, when you're rehearsing, so we can."
Right.
And you're kind of like, "Oh, they want the music playing while they're showing the house at first."
Oh no, I didn't buy it for a second. That they want.
Well, that's what it almost wants to set it up.
Yeah, yeah.
But then when they go, "Oh, we want to set up our open houses around that time," yeah. She goes, "Oh," her expression there was so fucking funny. And then she pulls out the accordion. Yeah. Apartment for sale. Your mother's dead and your sister's in jail. So funny. At the end when she's in the Philippines, the people are giving her a ride on the canoe down the river, right. And she's talking about like whatever, and
swimming in the river.
And the guy goes, "Yeah, that's not a good idea because there's crocodiles." And you see her pull her arm up. It's just like very subtle, very funny things. Just having Mark Strong with hair, so I just think is just comedically very funny.
So goofy.
It looks extremely goofy. But I still think it is a very good movie. It's a very well put together movie. I still don't think it's top tier Oscar.
So here's my question for you.
Uh-huh.
Tar or Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Ooh. No, this is not me endorsing either of these necessarily.
But if you had to pick one.
If I had to pick one, I think I had more fun with Everything Everywhere All at Once because it's just more goofy.
Same.
It lends itself to some of the set pieces in Everything Everywhere All at Once are still very fun.
The Rock universe.
The Rock. I honestly hated that. The first time was funny, and then it went on too long, and I was like, okay, it lost the charm for me. But like the butt plug fight scene, fucking hilarious. Like the martial arts in it were fun. Yeah. Having, I always forget what they call her.
I don't remember the characters' names, But I do think
But the daughter, like
I do think
her
she's lovable.
her fight scene in the hallway where she's like blowing people up into confetti.
I don't think there's a lovable character in Tar.
No,
And I don't
the
mean to say
closest it
that,
gets is maybe the kid.
yeah.
But even then, the kid's weird,
I
holding
even
my foot.
prefer the M. Night Shyamalan kid to that kid.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Um, so I don't know. I just don't. I think as far as the performance goes, I think Cate Blanchett could earn this.
Yes.
If she earns this, I would be like, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I think if Michelle Yeoh gets it,
She earned it.
I would be like, she earned it.
Yeah.
That I'm not debating. I just don't think this is as good of a movie as maybe we would like it to be.
Oh, wait. Okay. This, everything. Oh, so this lost out to everything.
Yes, for me.
All right. Where do you rank Banshees? I think it might be my least. I would have to go back and see what I rated. It might.
I know.
It might be my least favorite of the three.
I know my biggest issue is with the fact that everybody said that Banshees is a comedy.
Yeah.
It's not a comedy.
Yeah.
It's a comedy in the sense that there's a few funnies.
I had bigger laughs in this movie.
Oh, for sure.
And I didn't have that many laughs, but I had bigger laughs in this movie than I did in Banshees.
Yeah, for sure.
I had bigger laughs in Everything Everywhere All at Once for sure than I did in Banshees.
That was my bait. If somebody was like, "Oh, this is drama," I'd be like, "Yeah, this is for sure." But no, people are like, "This is a funny movie." It's not a funny movie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see what other Academy.
All Quiet, which I haven't seen yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
No to Avatar.
No. Oh God, no. Yeah. Avatar is there because it made a shitload of money and because it's James Cameron.
Banshees.
Elvis.
I haven't seen, nor will
I don't think Elvis. I don't think Elvis belongs in any sort of 2023 Academy Award list at all.
Yeah, I'm offended that Elvis is on this list.
I am offended. Yeah. There are other movies that I think could be in this spot.
The Whale should be on here over.
The Whale should be here over Elvis.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm not even saying The Whale is like head and shoulders above everything we've talked about so far, but like it should be here over Elvis.
Yeah. No, it should be 100%.
Fabelmans
again. I have zero interest. I don't know that I'm even going to see it.
Yeah.
It could belong here. People love Spielberg. I think the Fabelmans could win just on the fact that it's Spielberg.
Yeah.
And that it's like a movie about him.
Right. Danger Zone.
Dude, if Danger Zone wins,
yeah,
the little man needs to win.
The little man needs
the little Scientologist man.
Yeah. I don't know much about Triangle of Sadness or women talking.
People like it. And people say it's very funny, but again, when people talk about a funny awards nominated movie, I'm very skeptical.
Wait, for which one? Triangle or
for Triangle?
That's the one with the rich people on the boat, right?
One with the rich people on the boat.
Yeah.
That one it falls into the same like eat the rich category.
Right.
And I don't know how much ha-has I have left in that tank.
We saw the menu.
And I would much rather see the menu again.
And we saw the menu and Glass Onion.
Right. That's all we need. Yeah. So I'm trying to see Best Actress. So Cate Blanchett is on there. Michelle Williams and Andrea Riseborough. Michelle Yeoh and Ana de Armas. I don't think Ana de Armas should be.
No,
that movie was painful.
She's the background of my.
Your phone
wallpaper. Not even like. Not only was it's not even that I blame her, but like. Not only was that movie painful.
I didn't finish it.
And I didn't finish either.
There's boobs in that movie, and I didn't finish it.
I didn't come close to finishing it, but also just her accent. I can't.
In that movie,
yeah. It's Ana de Armas's voice. It's not Marilyn Monroe.
It's not Marilyn Monroe. Yeah. Anyway, we're getting completely sidetracked. Right. So let's go ahead and wrap up here. I still think it's a fine movie. I'm not. It's a fine film. I'm not insulted that I watched it. I just don't think it's as good as it is being touted as. But good time.
Good time.
It beat watching the Super Bowl for me.
Wow. Not for me. You missed a good game.
Did I?
You missed a good. Lest I go on another tangent. To me, this is a worse Whiplash.
Okay.
And maybe I'm a man and I'm just not seeing certain things.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But I've heard that comparison. I've heard a comparison to Whiplash.
I love Whiplash.
Yeah. I don't think I've still seen Whiplash.
Whiplash is a tighter story.
Okay.
And more on the nose, to be fair. This is not an on the nose film.
It's not.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know what the next movie thing. Probably Quantumania because that comes out this Friday.
Yes.
But you say you probably can't see it until
I am actually going to be able to try to see it on Friday afternoon. And I'll
Okay.
explain once we're done recording.
Okay. All right, everybody.
Yeah.
You can follow us on social medias at the Cine-Scoots or on Facebook, and we are on Spotify, Google Podcast, and on Anchor.
Yes.
And until next time, here's Thano,
He's Javier.
and this has been the Cine-Scoots podcast. Bye.
Bye.